It says that we need to take stock of the annual aggregate income of black people, and now I'm talking macro on a wide level, wide range. Take stock of that number and look at the amount of businesses that we have and how much money those businesses earn every year. In a word, it's shameful. It really is. Now, I know somebody's out there watching, well, if we just try to shop at black stores, and people might get mad and only start shopping at their stores and all this kind of thing. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever hear when people respond that way. And it really speaks to our fear and our lack of self-love and just our acquiescence to this whole subordinate role that we've been playing in this country for years and years and years. Because all other groups support their own. I didn't make that up. I didn't make a rule in this country that said this group supports this group. It has happened. There was a guy in Booker T. Washington's National Negro Business League when they first started. He said, his name was Fred Moore, and he stood up and made a statement. He said, look, Germans support Germans, Italians support Italians, and he said it's about time that black people start supporting black people. And now here we are, this is over 100 years ago. Now here we are in 2011, still engaged in this discussion, in this argument, well, we should help everybody. What do you have to help everybody with? If you're not supporting yourself and empowering yourself and strengthening yourself and your own economy, how in the world can you help anybody else? We need to move beyond that kind of thinking, because all these groups, and it's even beyond race now. It breaks down to other social groups. And you know what? I walked in the studio this morning and just saw this book. Just picked it up. I don't know if you can see the title, but it says Shop Gay. Shop Gay. It's put out by, guess who? The Gay Chamber of Commerce of Greater Cincinnati. Now, when I started the Black Chamber of Commerce, I even had black people coming to me and say, well, why we need a Black Chamber of Commerce? That's separatist. Oh, we shouldn't do that. And there was a Chinese Chamber of Commerce, a Korean Chamber of Commerce, all kinds of chambers. Now here's the Gay Chamber of Commerce in the city of Cincinnati that has a directory telling people to shop gay. Here are all the businesses in here that are gay, owned by gay people or lesbian people and all the other categories. And they're saying, hey, support your own. What is wrong with us that we would, what can I say, engage in or to support the thought or the notion that if we support one another, then we're being separatist and racist? That's just straight up silly. And we need to change that, because all these other groups out here are looking internally. They are looking to strengthen themselves collectively, and they are definitely supporting their own people. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at the gay people. They're doing what I'm sitting here telling us to do. And we used to do it, you know, before integration. When we had to do it, we had to shop with our own people. That wasn't a bad thing. That empowered us. That created an economic base, a strong economic base for our people. But then when we got our civil rights, boy, we walked away from our own businesses and said, oh, I get the privilege now to go and spend my money with someone else. Again, that's silly. And it's economically naive, and it is economic suicide. Now we live in a country that is, you know, that has 46 billion people in poverty. We know what's happening with the economy. We know what's going on with the unemployment rate. And these jobs that we're talking about creating, it's going to take years for us to recover from this. And yet some of us are sitting back thinking President Obama is going to take care of everything for us. He can't create any jobs. He can talk about it. He can make some speeches. He can stand in front of the Brent Spence Bridge and say, there are some jobs on this bridge when we tear it down and build a new one. That's all true. But if you're sitting around unemployed right now, that's not going to put food on your table. That's not going to pay your lights. That's not going to pay your heat when this winter comes. And we have to understand the power of working together in support of one another. And we also have to understand the value of entrepreneurship. And we better get out here and start making something or doing something and selling it to somebody. And we better teach it to our children, because we're going to be stuck because we don't support one another. Our dollars leave our neighborhoods just as fast as they come in. And we're not building an economic foundation that we can stand on in these critical economic times. And it's sad to think about the fact that some people would upbraid someone who says, support your own. Nobody else is apologizing for saying that. Nobody. The Indian enclaves here in Cincinnati, on the northern part of the town especially, folks from India and Pakistan and places like that, they support one another. They have their own supermarkets. They have their own gas station, convenience stores, all these kinds of things. And that's where they shop. They don't have to. They have a choice just like we do. They don't have to shop there, but they do it because they understand the power of local investment, the power of circulating their dollars among themselves. They understand that. And they see it in action. They see it every day because they're putting their kids through school. They're opening up new businesses, giving their children jobs. That's all this is about, brothers and sisters. That's all it's about. And I would be so glad if I live long enough to see us consciously aware and become consciously competent, or should I say unconsciously competent, to just do it as a matter of habit, a matter of course. We just do it. Support ourselves, build up our neighborhoods so that they can become communities by circulating our dollars among ourselves, supporting our own businesses. There's so many positive aspects to that that we cannot, should not, must not ignore. And we ignore them to our peril, especially in these economic times in which we live. It's just a frightening thought that we would take our dollars and give them to any source that will take those dollars out of our local neighborhood or community and spend them maybe, who knows, overseas, for instance, in different countries. Now that's when we're talking about local investment, again, I said right where you live, number one. Number two, as the concentric circles expand, we're talking about in your city. What advantage is it to us if we spend our money with someone who really has no stake in the city, doesn't have, their local company is not in the city? It takes money out of our local economy. And we need to be aware of where we spend our dollars so that we can direct more of our dollars, first of all, to ourselves. Almost $1 trillion in aggregate income every year. I don't know what that number is in the city of Cincinnati, but it's a lot among black folks. First there, but then look at the city, look at the county, and just keep spreading it out, the state, that kind of thing. A lot of these projects that are going on now have local hiring agreements and local business contracting agreements, and because they understand the importance of circulating our dollars among ourselves. So I want you to start thinking that way, the power of local investment. A dollar spent, $1 spent at a local independent business, on average, it generates 3 times more direct local economic benefit than a dollar spent at a corporate-owned chain. Now you think about that. I spend $1 locally, then it has 3 times the impact because it's circulating. Now, I'll take a break here and say to our businesses that are benefiting from this kind of thinking, that the more you're supported by local consumers, the more you should try to keep that money that you earn from local consumers in that circle as well. You need to go out and support some other local businesses as well, local black businesses. And that's how we get that exponential multiplier going when we spend our dollars. And don't take this as, well, we don't have any money. Oh, we're not spending. Oh, we're poor. You just said 46 million people are poor. Now, poor doesn't mean that you don't have any money. Poor sometimes means that you spend your money in the wrong places, because you're not spending it in a way that will help your local businesses grow and be able to employ more than the 900,000 employees nationally that we have. And you're not spending it in a way that would cause a business right on your street maybe to grow to the point to where your child could get a job at that business. Let me give you the stats again. We have 1.9 million firms, and of those, 1.8 million haven't hired anyone. They are sole proprietorships, one-person businesses. If we could help those businesses grow to the point to where they can hire someone, who knows? That may be your child, that may be your grandchild, that can have a job right where he or she lives. That's how we should think.